On today's episode of That Mental Ginger Show, we are talking to Dean, aka the Glasgow Kid. What can I say about the Glasgow Kid, aside from the Glasgow Kid? Well, I think you should watch the Glasgow Kid in action on my show. So let's cut to the intro.
All right, troops.
Dean, thank you so much for coming on, man. How you been?
Oh, I've been doing pretty good, man. Just having the busiest month of my life. I've got a whole week of performing at gigs and then doing Hella Mega Tour and a bunch of other concerts. So
Nice
I'm
one.
basically, I'm living off the fucking Red Bull, man.
Definitely, man. I was talking about like energy drinks actually yesterday. We were filming an episode of the Ginger Engine, and we'd got some energy drinks from Rockstar, and I don't often drink energy drinks, but I was like, cheers, guys, and having that. And then when I got home, I was like, I feel ill.
Oh, mate, I used to drink them a lot when I was a teenager because I used to be like a mad singer and that. But now I just hate the taste of them. I drink it for the energy.
It's like
an absinthe almost.
I would prefer absinthe sometimes.
Oh, mate, absinthe is like paint thinner. You don't want to prefer that.
Well, have you ever had black absinthe?
That sounds worse. That's like more licorice.
I had a 2-week hangover just from one shot of absinthe. It was amazing. Best story involved like the kind of I know there's no such thing as normal absinthe, but the one that's more well known. Well, me and my mates had it at a party, and we were all agreeing we'll take like kind of one shot each, and then if we're feeling up for it, we'll take another one later. So we got to that stage that we're thinking about the second shot, and I was like, okay, let's get the bottle. And like, bottle's empty. There was a quarter of this bottle left. Like, where the fuck did it go? Well, one of our mates had tagged it. Well, we found him. He managed to get locked in a shed. Well, and so basically the person that he was locked in with used my friend as a battering ram to get him out of the shed. Well, so we just came out to this naked friend, arse up, just sprawled out from it. And we're like, okay, let's get him inside. And of course, us being the caring friends, we drew a knob on his head.
Fantastic, as you have to, I guess.
You have to. There was no way we were waking him up for at least a week. So we're like, okay. And you go.
Actually, do you remember actually the first time you ever went to a house party and you got drunk?
Yes.
I was 15 when it happened, and I was quite like an eccentric kid when I was younger. So I stand up on a deck chair, I take my shirt off, I wave it around my head, and I yell, I am here for one reason and one reason only, to lose my virginity.
Nice.
I did not lose my virginity that night.
I would have been surprised. Like I remember, like the first part. I remember loads of house parties I was at, but ones that I remember when I was really drunk was actually my own. Like parents were away, and I was like, "You dancer." So I necked like half a bottle of aftershock, and I couldn't remember anything from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up, but the place was just trashed. And I'm like, I was like,
awful.
Yeah, like 12-hour cleanup job, to get that sorted. But that's how I knew it was a good party.
Boiling the kettle at least 10 times to pour it on the floor.
Luckily, nothing actually hit the floor. The rest of the absinthe wound up on the back of my parents' white kind of cover that was on the couch. And I was like, thank God it was the cover rather than the couch, because I can fit a cover into a washing machine. I can't fit a couch into a washing machine.
Aye, but now it'll smell like absinthe.
Yeah. I was just like, right, okay, like, so it smelled like red aftershock for a little while. And then I just got the Febreze and was just like dousing it like an exorcism.
Oh man, I blame my mum for this, but when I grew up, she always had like candles and like those little air fresheners all around the house, and I used to get really annoyed by it. But now my fucking flat is filled with them, plus Febreze.
Nice. It's like
I buy a candle from Aldi every 2 weeks.
I was gonna say, was that Febreze on your unit in the background?
Yes, that is a fresh linen Aldi version of Febreze.
There we go. Well, but that's how you got to do it. You get the same but different. It's cost-effective times these days.
Definitely. I mean, I can't spend like 18 quid on a candle every 2 weeks. I'll get the 4 quid one from Aldi. It does
Well,
the same. Oh,
if you want, I'll sell you one for half the price. I'll sell you a candle for £9. We can't light them anymore because we're afraid the kids will set themselves on fire.
fucking yeah, get it on the post, man.
Definitely. That'll be on the buy and sell page. Candle, only one scalded child.
I love how you didn't even say what the scent of the candle was. I'm just assuming it's going to be scalded child now.
Yeah, that's definitely one that Yankee should really invest in. Scalded child. But Yankee, if you're listening, we are accepting sponsors. Anyway, enough about me and my madness, man. We're here to talk about you and your madness, or as we call it, your origin story. Because the one thing we have in common is that we all have an origins. So,
indeed,
for the Glasgow Kid, tell us your origin story.
Well, the origin story of the name is very different to what most people expect. People expect it. I call myself the Glasgow Kid because, like, I live in Glasgow. And, when I go to gigs sometimes, like at Salsa or like an open mic gig and some of my friends are there, they'll give me these friendly heckles while I'm on stage. They'll be like, someone will introduce me as, hey, please welcome to the stage, the Glasgow Kid. And then my mates will just be in the background yelling, he's a fraud. You've got a PA postcode. But now the reason I called myself that is it's nothing to do with geographical location, right? Because so I'm queer and autistic, and like historically, people like me have been outlawed or institutionalized for years. So I picked the Glasgow Kid as to sound kind of like an outlaw's name, kind of like Billy the Kid. And it's basically like a big fuck you to all those people who grew up telling me that autistic people don't get humor. I feel like I'm proving that wrong every time I go on stage.
Yeah, I get that, man. Like, it's like the same deal, like being ginger. Like, you were basically told that you were the devil's minions. And that because
you were just talking about sending me a scalded kid candle, so
yeah, and I was saying it with a straight face as well. I was doing well, but that could be because it could either be because I'm ginger or because I'm left-handed. They were also called the devil's minions as well, so I'm doubling down on it.
Kurt Cobain was left-handed. Fucking embrace that.
Well, a lot of like good performers are left-handed because that the left hand activates the right side of the brain, so that's the creative side. So I'm like, fuck you guys. But we're on the same wavelength of like it's very anti-establishment. So I've got to ask, what's the side hustle that you do aside from the comedy? Like, what's the one that you're like, oh, this is my day job, kill me.
Well, I'm a student now, and I'm studying marketing at University of. I'm not going to name the university for legal reasons, but a Glasgow University. And basically, I do that because I like understanding the idea of marketing because you can learn a lot about like marketing yourself as a comic through that. But honestly, the entire subject, it's like they teach you like the most sociopathic traits imaginable in marketing. It's like I will be sitting there in a lecture and I'll be like, and here's how you tell like an old couple to buy something that they don't fucking need. It's like these door-to-door salesman jobs that you always get offered on Indeed, where it's like, we want you to go up and just sell shit to people. And it's like pure evil bastard shit. And I'm too working class for that, man. Like I have to call it out. And just what I do outside of comedy, I'm also a bit of a musician. I'm looking at starting a queercore punk band with my friend Ash. Nice. We're part of the band society at the university that we're at. We put on a gig there, and we were doing this is like. Are you much of a '90s music fan?
Oh yeah, I was a '90s kid, definitely.
So we did our set list, and it was like we opened with "Today" by the Smashing Pumpkins, nice. "Violet" by Hole, and then we closed with "Something in the Way" by Nirvana, which I screamed the last chorus out. And then looking back, it was like our entire set list is basically a love triangle.
I actually thought of that, but yeah, that's pretty true.
I mean, like the Smashing Pumpkins have always been my favorite band. I know Billy Corgan's a bit of a twat, but still love their music.
Yeah, but the music can still be all right. It's like, I mean, on the like extreme end of the scale, like Lostprophets, for example, that guy's fucking evil. Like evil incarnate. Like I'm pretty sure that Satan will kick him out of hell when he gets there. He will just like, no.
I hope that he gives them a kick when he gets there and then kicks him out.
Yeah, but at the same time, the song 4 a.m. is a fucking banger, man.
I've not heard that one. I only ever heard the Lostprophets song from Guitar Hero, and I wasn't a big fan of it, to be honest.
Yeah, Lostprophets was actually one of my first gigs. Actually, the first gig I went to, it was Lostprophets. They were supporting Linkin Park.
Man, I would have loved to have seen Linkin Park live before Chester died.
Yeah, it was the last time they actually came to Glasgow. That was the Meteora tour, so it was only their second album, and it was the last time they came to Glasgow. We didn't know that at the time. We were just like, yes, we're getting to see Linkin Park. Yeah, the answer. But I'll tell you, it was certainly it was something, man. It was unreal. But even like I say, like Lostprophets, like the guy is an absolute knob jockey, and that's me saying it in the nicest way possible. But the music was good, for us growing up in that time. So I can understand it. And it's the same like the guys like Puddle of Mud, like their lead singer's a bit of a douche as well. I think it's just a general thing. Singers have to be douches, but the music can be all right.
I mean, definitely in the case with the All-American Rejects guy, he just seems like a prick.
You don't think he looks a bit like Killian Sheridan for Peaky Blinders?
He definitely does, actually.
He does, doesn't he?
About him.
Thank you.
He looks like a guy from Scott Pilgrim who's trying to sell you NFTs.
I was going to say it was like they tried to clone Killian Sheridan and just arsed it up, and they were like, okay, that'll work. Just stick him in a punk pop band. But again, that was one of the albums like it was like of my kind of teenage years, like the first All American Rejects album, Sticks and Stones, New Found Glory. A lot of them, I was kind of growing up. I was in my teenage years listening to them as well, and I'm like, life is miserable.
Actually, I did this bit at Tennant's Laughter Lounge last night where I did a thing where it's like I talked about a gig that I went to where I got kicked in the eye. And I asked the audience, like, can you guess what genre of music it was at? All of them said metal. And the gig was Block Party.
Yeah.
Like, I went to Block Party gig like this month, and all these indie music fans, like, they're way more violent than any metalhead I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, it's crazy. Like, everybody assumes that it is, like, you know, like metal music and stuff. I mean, with something we've got in common, I've also been kicked in the eye at a gig. It was Velvet Revolver. Yeah.
Classic band, isn't it?
Yeah. It was one of those ones. It was like someone was like getting crowd surfed, and it was heading towards my mate. And I was like,
that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah. Moved him out of the way, bang, straight in the eye. Like down I went. And this girl picked me up. She's like, "Oh, you okay? You all right?" I was like, feeling a bit kind of out of it. She's like, "Look, you just kind of went to me." Being like a straight hormonal teenager, what I was looking at was the massive tits. So I was just like, right, I'm like, I'm at home. This is my place. So I pretended to be concussed for an extra 2 or 3 songs, just so I could keep. I was like, this is the closest I've had to anything in a long time.
It happened at the worst time for me during the gig because it happened during when Block Party was playing Helicopter. And like you can imagine that is when the entire crowd is like bouncing. It was like I really wanted to just enjoy the song. I'm walking from the front like this, like you fucking Kelly, you look great, we're playing well, pal. Just fucking keep doing it. Don't mind me.
You're just like, right, I got this. Let's see how bad my eyes busted the next day. So what specifically? Yeah. So what specifically made you choose stand-up comedy? What?
I mean, I've always kind of loved stand-up, like as an art form. Like I've always been kind of a creative person. Like before I did it, I was a film YouTuber under the name Nolan Dean, and I used to do like video essays about like movies I loved and stuff.
Nice.
And I really like the idea that stand-up comedy was also like a long-form way of storytelling, but designed to make people laugh. And
yeah,
like my heroes in comedy were like my main inspirations for the style I do are I always say it's a mix of Frankie Boyle and Pete Davidson.
Nice.
Because of like the sort of relatable kind of weirdo-ness that Pete Davidson has. And when I was younger and I watched Frankie Boyle, I was always like, I like how edgy he is. I like how he's going to say all this shit. But then as I got older, and I think as he kind of mellowed, he managed to make a lot of jokes that were like really punchy, but they had this political undertone to them that made me get interested in topics that he was talking about. And that's the kind of stuff I want to do with like queerness and autism in my comedy, is that queer comics and like autistic comics, they don't really have like a Frankie Boyle type. So I try and base my writing style off of that, and it's ended up really well. Like the Stand reviewed me after my first Red Raw, and they said like, "Oh, you are a really refreshing perspective," and I'm performing there again tonight, so hopefully it goes down really well.
Brilliant, brilliant, man. Well done. Like, I'm really chuffed. It's good to see. Like, I've applied for Red Raw. Like, just I have no idea why I applied for Red Raw because I'm like, I am shit. Why have I done it? I think it's just to say that I've done it and just get that card out there. Like,
It's
go,
honestly, it's such a welcoming room though. Like they want to laugh. Like it's different from when you're at an open mic where the audience is all comedians and it's like they'll laugh to support you, but you can tell they're more interested in when they're going to get on.
I mean, I was like, well, that because I only done like a few kind of gigs, like when I jumped back into the scene for like a very brief time, and I was never thinking like, you know, what, oh, I can't wait to get on. I was more, can you guys talk longer? Because I'm fucking bricking it here, man. I can't. I'm terrified. So I was like, keep laughing. They might go on for longer. Yeah, then I won't get on. Hey, I'm like, you guys are
there is a stage like whenever I'm doing a gig, like I did Freed Up at Vibram recently, and
nice one.
I felt like I was going to have a panic attack right before I got on stage, but I think as soon as you get like that first laugh, you can go on just really well, and then I ended up like not everything lands, but you end up mostly smashing the room. And I'm trying to do a thing like when I started out, I felt like I was going to be like a really dark and edgy, shocking comic. And lately, I'm kind of trying to move away from that because if I'm just getting into the comedy scene to be shocking and not be funny first, then I'm wasting the audience's time. So I'm trying to be like more funny and more quirky than I was before, but still not losing the point of why I wanted to do comedy in the first place.
Yeah. Do you not find that like what I'm going to say? Mine's a very, very brief comic journey. It was like, you know, like blink and you'll miss it, like fart and the smell is gone kind of deal. But it was like mine was like I'll try the edgy stuff. Like I'll try something like current, and that it just didn't work for me. But when I started talking about the things that I knew, like my mental health issues and being a dad, that was when it kind of owned it. And there I was like, that's actually really good. You're really funny. And I'm like, cheers. Do you not find so? Do you find that like when you're going down that the kind of, you know, talking about like your autism and it was just make sure I'm getting this right. It was queer. Fine. Just so I get like pronouns right. I don't want anybody fucking saying that I am one of those like.
No, you're definitely not. Trust me.
Yeah, you're like he's one of those guys. Get him. And I'm like, no.
Your name's not J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I'm ginger, but yeah. It's like I always say like I don't care. Like I always say that if you're a man, woman, or a toaster, as long as you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. So my toaster's not been very nice to me. It burnt my toast lately, so I was calling it a racist.
Oh, you're gonna have to fucking get a new one, mate. Threaten it. Say I'm going to curry.
Yeah, it's like the irony was like it's a white toaster and it burned my toast. I was like, not only are you racist, you're the worst kind of racist. You can't choose which side to go. Well, my wife's looking at me like, what the fuck are you smoking today? And I'm like, this is why I don't drink, smoke, or do drugs, because I'm already nuts.
I've had instances like that where I'll try like a really shocking joke and it doesn't land. And my theory on whole comedy thing is if a joke doesn't land, the audience will let you know, and you can't be stubborn and just keep doing that joke. So you're quite a nerdy guy as well. I imagine you've seen the new Doctor Who casting.
Yes, I've seen the new Doctor Who casting. I mean, I'll be up front. Like, Doctor Who has everything I should like, but I've never got into it. I don't know why. Well, I have tried. I've tried with several iterations, like the classic stuff, and when it was rebooted, it just never took to me. I don't know why. My brother loves it. My brother absolutely loves Doctor Who, like so much so that when my dad mentions anything about Doctor Who around me, I go, wrong, son. But I point to him. So if he starts talking about football, my brother does the same because I still like football. So it's the same kind of deal. But all the controversy around Doctor Who being a woman or Doctor Who being a black guy, like, who cares? Like the Doctor's essentially gender fluid, like being fluid. He could be a fucking piece of popcorn for all I care, as long as it doesn't matter at all. That's the whole point of Doctor Who in my eyes. It could be anyone at any time in any place.
It's like so I did this joke where it was like the wording of it was I think when castings like that happen, it just shows you how racist some of your friends and family on Facebook can be. Like as soon as the Shoot Gatwa thing was announced, my roommate, I heard him saying, "What's this? There's no black doctors." And I went in to go and fight him on that, but it turns out he was talking about the employment rate for the NHS.
Oh, right.
So he's an activist now. And like I tried to do that because like you expect the joke to be that my roommates are racist, but it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
It didn't land so well at the stand. Like I think I might have phrased it wrong or like delivered it a bit too silly, but that's what I just put on the back burner now.
I think it's a really smart joke though. Like sometimes when if you're doing something like Red Raw the stand, they're not expecting you to be I'm not saying it all right, but I don't think they're expecting you to be smart. They're just expecting you to just do dumb jokes that they'll get instantly. That one was one where I was like, hold on, black doctors ages. Yes, that's a good one. That's a really smart joke. What? So that's why it took me a wee second to
for
twig.
Like a longer show, not for like a 5-minute bit of Red Raw, because they do want you to be like more, let's tell us about you and everything. And those were the jokes that landed there.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those ones that I think if I went to Red Raw, I would be like guys, no one laugh because I'm on a timer. As like I'm 5 minutes, I will have my phone out. It's on. I will tell you my jokes. I will leave. Tell me if they're good later. Because I really have it. Because the first guy kind of back on stage, guy said I had 5 minutes, and I went like closer to 10 because people were actually laughing at my jokes. I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, it surprises me how much the time like goes on when you're doing well. Like at Tenant's Laughter Lounge last night, I thought I was doing like an 8-minute set, and because of all the laughter and how supportive it is, it actually ended up being my first ever 15 minutes. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm ahead of myself now. Yeah,
and it's one of those things. Like if you come from like the performer's background, like when I did like theatre, and if I was doing like a play that was farcical or whatever, if they're laughing, you let them laugh and then die down so you can carry on so they can hear the next part of it. So people are laughing. I'm naturally waiting until it dies down a bit so they can hear the next part. But you're looking at it going, it's cutting in my time. Shit. What am I going to have to cut here?
Sometimes you can use that to your advantage though. Like one of the lines I do like in all my sets is I go up and I say, I'm a queer autistic comedian. And it usually gets met with like a big round of applause. Like, that's not the reason I do it, but it's a setup for a joke. And I say like, or as Twitter likes to say, a brave, inspiring role model. Then I just go into a whole thing about like how the only thing brave about me is that I live in fucking Renfrew.
Yeah, as someone who grew up in Airdrie, I definitely sympathise with that one. Like I say, it's the same deal. It's like when I went back on stage, I was like, this is my first gig I've done on stage in 9 years. Well, and the room erupted in applause, and I'm like, can I just go off now? That's not going to get any better than that.
It's proper surreal, like honestly being on the scene and like getting applause for those jokes. Like when I was last at Red Raw, I did this joke where it was I used to date a trans girl, and I think dating a trans girl is a bit like pineapple on pizza in the sense that I get a lot of opinionated strangers telling me what they think about it. And that got my first applause break ever. It was just so fucking, you can see it in my face in the video. I'm like, I'm not giving up comedy now.
Brilliant. That is fantastic. And in fairness, like, up until recently, I agreed about pineapple being on pizza. It's purely because I had a Hawaiian pizza and we all came down with a stomach bug right afterwards. And I'm very rarely sick. As in physically sick.
You probably got a bad one then, mate.
It was just that the boys brought home a bug from nursery and me and the wife caught it. So I'm not often physically sick. So seeing pineapple coming up in reverse is a bit
that's not great.
It was like I can't have a Hawaiian pizza for a while. I still agree with it. I just can't have it right now until I'm back.
I think the good test of whenever you're at a new pizza place, always order a margarita, because if they can make a great margarita, they can make anything.
Yeah, definitely. It's like that's kind of the same deal. If my wife's always like, "What? Not trying anything adventurous with the pizza?" I'm like, because I'm the closest to a Ninja Turtle I will ever be is my love of pizza. And it's one of those ones where I'm like, right, that's how I know this is a good place. If the pizza's good, I'm cool.
Yeah. I've been going for a veggie pizza as like my main toppings. I think you get the most variety and flavors and textures on it.
I also think it's the only way I'll get one of my 5 a day.
Definitely.
That is really like the only way that I'll probably get it. I'm like, okay, let's get a veggie pizza a day. Like, I'm feeling healthy. Not realize it's like covered in like 10 tons of salt, but I digress from that one.
It's
So-
like the difference between KFC here and the place I spent a couple of years in when I was a kid. Like I spent a couple of years in Dubai, and the KFC there is so different. And in here, it just tastes like 5 different brands of salt.
Nice. That is very true, though. Like you're just like, well, after you have it, you just feel like, you know, and me, myself, and Irene, Jim Carrey just looks like his entire mouth is cotton mouthed. He's like that.
Oh yeah, man! It's like I can't order KFC from here anymore. If I'm going to get fried chicken, it's got to be from an independent place.
So you'll have to go back to Dubai, and that's a very expensive piece of chicken.
Oh yeah, it's gotten extremely expensive now. Like I was there when it was still all desert, and basically I grew up a little bit there, and I saw it become like LA for Arabians. I think it's one of the reasons that I fucking hate capitalism, because I saw its effect on a beautiful country.
Yeah, definitely. But so when you went to Dubai, like how, this is just me being nosy, how were they with you? Like, obviously being like part of like the LGBTQ side of it.
I mean, I hadn't come out as queer until I left Dubai, to be honest. But the Arabians and like the Emiratis, like I think they do get a bad rep. Like people say, I hear people sometimes saying like, "Oh, aren't they very strict on rules and stuff like that?" And they are a little bit, but it's not to the extent that the media makes it out to be. Like you're not going to get arrested just for walking around shirtless on a beach. Like I've heard people say that, and it's the Emiratis are so fucking. They want to share their culture with you because, like, the expats bring a lot of money into that country. But can you imagine the reaction when a fucking expat goes up to an Emirati waiter and asks if she can have chips with hummus? Like, I think there needs to be a little bit of a give and take. Like, if you're going to go to a country like that, you have to respect their culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's what because you were talking about Mock the Weekend. I was remember one of the first times I ever heard Russell Howard, and it was like the line was he's like, if they come over here, they got to learn English and learn our culture. And that's the same guys that go to Lanzarote go, Pedro, do you do chips? Well, I was like, exactly right. So if you don't mind me asking, when was it that you did, like, I hate saying come out because I don't think anybody should have to like be let in to come out. I think everybody should just be out regardless. But so when did you? I just don't like saying
I think I was about like 18 or something when I came out, but like I had feelings that I was when I was around like up from 14 up to 16. And you know, I blame Scott Pilgrim versus the World for this. People say that movies are turning our kids gay, but that was the first time I was like, oh, Chris Evans looks incredibly sexy in that outfit.
In fairness, so did Brandon Routh.
Can you honestly, like, it's a nerdgasm rewatching that movie because so many of those actors are now like big superheroes.
Yeah, it's like and you look at it and go, Superman / the Atom and Captain America / the Human Torch got their ass kicked by George Michael Jr. from Arrested Development.
I would honestly, I reckon Michael Cera would make a really good comic book villain. Like, if he was to be like a Batman villain or something, I could see him like doing that because he's got like mad character actor energy.
Yeah, I could see him being like a kind of, if they hadn't done the Riddler, I think he could have been that kind of classic kind of style of Riddler. There's somewhat like
he'd be a really good Mad Hatter, I think.
Yes, I would say that was a good one. Because I was just thinking like the Riddler from Gotham. Well, I thought that could be a Michael Cera kind of type if they were going down that route as well. But yeah, Mad Hatter's definitely a good shout. Definitely, man. So sadly, my Zoom producer, because I'm just calling him that because he say that's when you have 10 minutes left. Use him. I can't afford the paid one. Well, it's telling us that we're yeah. So it says we're coming up on time. So tell all my audience where they can find you, like, on the socials and stuff. Sell it, man.
You can find me at the Glasgow Kid on Instagram, at the Glasgow Kid 27 on TikTok. I did actually have a funny thing happen there. I put up a video of me teaching Scottish phrases to my Maltese mate from uni. We were just outside Polo Lounge, and it's just a bunch of like still gaming that. That went viral, and now people in Glasgow recognise me from it.
Nice one.
Yeah, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to use this new follower account and use it to help promote some comedy stuff.
Nice one, man. That's definitely a good plan. And have you got like, so that's your Instagram and the TikTok are the main ones? Is there any YouTube places where they can see bits of your comedy or?
I don't put any comedy up on YouTube yet because I don't think I'm at that stage yet. But if you want a laugh and you want to check out some of my old video essays, go check out like Nolan, Dean, and that. I did one on like Edward Scissorhands, Spider-Man 2 that all got like a bunch of like really big things. And if you want to see me performing, well, I don't know when this is going up, but I'm on at Red Raw tonight. I'm going to be doing a couple of other gigs in July. I'm going to be on Paul Connell's comic stands thing at the end of July.
Nice.
That I think starting up with Eddie McKenzie.
Yeah,
my pal Jack Trainer's doing that as well. And it's from what I've heard, it's a really fun room. Paul Connell's a fucking great guy. I'm also going to be on a couple of things in the Fringe and in Edinburgh leading up to the Fringe.
yeah.
Just to practice. I think I'm going to use the Fringe this year because I've got some spare time off to just go watch a bunch of pro comedians do their shows and learn as much as I can.
Yeah, definitely, man. That sounds good, mate. Well, and I wish you nothing but success with it. So we'll round off by asking you the same question I ask all my guests. If you could give one piece of advice to anybody that's struggling with mental health issues at this point in time, what would that piece of advice be and why?
Know when to give yourself a break, because I had this thing recently where it was a couple of pro comics on the scene basically implied that, oh, you must be getting a lot of gigs now because the scene is trying to be more diverse. And it's kind of it's a backhanded compliment in a way, because I get angry at that because I don't think I get gigs, and I don't want to get gigs because I'm queer and autistic. I want to get gigs because I'm funny.
Yeah.
And that kind of caused me to go through this whole big imposter syndrome thing where it's like, am I really getting gigs because I earned it or because they're just booking me on as a box ticker? The last thing I want to be is seen as a box ticker comedian. I want to be just a funny comedian first and then also talk about those things in my set.
Yeah.
And I went to, I couldn't have gone to this, but I went to a gig in Edinburgh that week when I wasn't doing very well mentally, and I didn't do well on the show, and I'm my own worst critic. I hated myself for that afterwards. So I'm going to say, if you are a comedian and you feel like that, especially if you're a diverse comedian, give yourself a break. Don't try and gig when you're in a bad space mentally. I know a lot of comedians use the stage like as their therapy in a way, but it can drain on you a little bit and it will affect your performance. Also, for newer comedians starting out, I think it's fine if you try and do like a little bit of shocking stuff originally when you first start out, but don't be stubborn with it if it doesn't get you bookings. Like, you do have to respect the scene first before you can expect it to respect you.
Yeah.
So learn from it, learn as much as you can, listen to advice, but also I heard this great quote from I think it's a guy who books like Scottish comedians. Don't accept criticism from somebody that you wouldn't ask advice from, because it's a very competitive industry. And if you end up taking the wrong advice, you could end up going down the wrong path, and you don't want that. Just be you, be the best version of you that you can be on stage, and don't try and like emulate anybody else. I'm still trying to find my voice, but right now I'm still describing it as like Pete Davidson meets Frankie Boyle and a bit of a punky Larry Dean, because I'm always wearing like sort of punky clothes when I go on stage. I look like the love child of fucking Machine Gun Kelly and Jack Black most of the time.
Yes. And fairness, that's what people say to me.
Beard, it's like fucking Billie Eilish and Wolverine.
There's the one that I get told that I'm the bastard love child of Frankie Boyle and Chris Evans from TGI Friday. And I'm like, yep, I can roll with that. That's me.
Well, if you do acting and stuff, right? If they ever make a Frankie Boyle biopic, they could probably cast you.
That would essentially be my life, just walking around in glasses and a beard swearing. That just sounds about right for me, in all honesty.
Actually, I went to Frankie Boyle's Work in Progress show, right, at the stand.
Yeah.
And you know how he's known for roasting the people in the front? My friends dared me to sit at the front. I was wearing like my pink varsity jacket and had my nails all done and everything. All he did was compliment my jacket. It's like it's like going to getting called to the headmaster's office and then him asking you out on a date. Like, I was expecting the roasting, Frankie. Fucking give me it. I've made it easy for you, man.
I remember one of my mates went to a gig of his when he was just coming up, and we got to him, and he was like, "Yeah, you look like a paedophile." And he was like, and then he does the whole, "What do you do for a living?" to start roasting. He went, "I'm a primary school teacher."
Oh yeah, very easy one there for comics.
But it was the fact that already said that he looked like a paedophile, and he said that, and he just went, touche, and off he went, and carried on with the next one. He was like, I've already done my best joke with it. I'm done. I'm out.
I had a thing because a couple of our mates of mine went down to Hot Water in Liverpool, and they put my video up, and I got really annoyed at this because some prick just put up on mine because I wouldn't let this person near kids. And at first I got really angry about it, but then I thought, that's actually good parenting because a lot of my comedy is very R-rated. Good parenting in Liverpool. That's a new one for you.
Yeah, there we go. Well, that must be like the only good parent in Liverpool.
Aye, fair play to you, man.
Yeah, good on you. Well, it's been brilliant having you on. I really appreciate you being part of the madness.
Pleasure, man.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being part of my madness. So for anybody that is wanting to check out the Glasgow Kid, there will be links in the description below, so please check them out and give them all the love and support that Dean deserves. Until next time, I've been Andrew Durnan. This has been the Glasgow Kid. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.